Have you ever been repeatedly turned down or disappointed? Colonel Harlan Sanders, the originator of Kentucky Fried Chicken, certainly did. But he didn't just make lemonade from his misfortunes, he made the world better. Welcome back to Channel Lux. Today we'll look into the fascinating story of Colonel Sanders and how he built a multi-million-dollar KFC empire at age 65. So let's move on to the video. But before that, please watch our video without skipping and like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy our video. So let's start. Businessman Colonel Sanders didn't start cooking professionally until he was 40, didn't start franchising Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 62, and didn't start becoming a legend until he was 75 and sold his firm. The current KFC commercial campaign features a cartoonish Colonel Sanders, played by Saturday Night Live veteran Darrell Hammond. Yes, the fast food icon was a real guy who took an improbable road to become a multi-billion-dollar worldwide corporation. Here are the highlights of the Colonel's astonishing journey to prominence, according to a 1970 New Yorker article by William Whitworth and bios from Bio and the University of Houston. In 1890, Sanders was born in Henryville, Indiana. When Sanders was 6 years old, his father passed away, leaving him to raise his siblings and cook. In the 7th grade, he quit going to school and went to work on a farm, already becoming a difficult cookie. When he was 12, his mother remarried. Sanders' brother was transferred to live with an aunt since his new stepfather didn't like the boys around, while he was sent to work on a farm some 80 miles away. Sanders quickly realized he would rather work all day than attend school, as he dropped out in the 7th grade. Sanders faked his age and enlisted in the United States Army at 16. After being honorably discharged a year later, the railway engaged him as a laborer. He was fired, though, for fighting with a co-worker. He studied law while working for the railroad but lost his legal career by getting into another brawl. Sanders was compelled to return home with his mother and take a job selling life insurance. What's more, guess what? He was fired for being disobedient, but this guy refused to give up. He started a ferry boat company in 1920. Another company was offering a better version of his lamp when he later sought to capitalize on his ferry boat business to start a lamp manufacturing business. The unfortunate man had no luck. It was when he was 40 that he started serving chicken meals. In 1930, he purchased a gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, and began selling classic Southern cuisine to travelers. Sanders finally removed the petrol pump and changed the premises to a full-fledged restaurant when it became famed for its meals. When he started to promote his meal, he got into a fight with a rival that turned into a shooting war. He purchased a hotel 4 years later, and it and his restaurant burned down. Nevertheless, the tenacious guy rebuilt and operated a new hotel until World War II compelled him to shut it down. He attempted to franchise his restaurant after the war. Before anyone accepted his dish, it had been rejected 1,009 times. In 1939, he discovered that cooking his chicken with its distinctive 11 herbs and spices in a new technology, a pressure cooker, resulted in the exact consistency he had been looking for. Kentucky Fried Chicken, Sanders' secret recipe, immediately gained popularity. In 1952, he agreed with his restaurant buddy Pete Harmon to market his chicken dish, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in exchange for a 4-cent royalty on each piece sold. Sanders struck the same agreement with numerous local eateries once it became a bestseller. Things went well until a new highway skirted Sanders' diner, signaling disaster. He lost money when he sold the store in 1956, leaving him with only his $105 monthly Social Security check. Sanders then determined that he would not accept a tranquil retirement and pursue his ambition of expanding KFC franchises and enjoying KFC employees nationwide. Since he'd shuttered his restaurant, the Colonel decided to focus entirely on the franchising side business he'd begun 4 years earlier. Sanders went on to sell his secret recipe and method to a few more small restaurants. Still, when his Corbin venture failed, he launched an aggressive sales drive going from town to town throughout Indiana and Ohio, armed with pressure cookers and packers of his secret spice mix. He'd walk into a restaurant and offer to prepare his chicken and then strike a bargain if the owner liked what they tasted. Sanders slept in his car wrapped in a big wool blanket Harmon had given him and survived on the fried chicken he rustled up during his sales pitches to save money. Sanders sought out mom-and-pop businesses that dealt with small people or strugglers, as he referred to them. "I was treated kindly and I did the right thing by them too," he wrote. "My product has made millionaires out of some of them." Sanders benefited equally from the franchise model's risk division. Harmon coined the term Kentucky Fried Chicken and the concept of a standalone, standard restaurant rather than a menu item available at various restaurants. His was the carry-out meal concept, the distinctive bucket, and the tagline, "Finger Lickin' Good." Harmon is the unheralded hero of Kentucky Fried Chicken Inc., the company's virtual co-founder, says Ozerski. The importance of Harmon and other franchisees in the success of Kentucky Fried Chicken is something museum curators wish to emphasize in American enterprise. In a franchise, ideas flow from the parent company down, but they also come from the bottom up or laterally. People who own franchises often have great ideas for new menu items, ways of doing business more efficiently, and branding that are taken up by the parent company, says France. By 1963, Sanders accepted franchise requests without having to do the homework, and he had over 600 Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants across the United States and Canada. In October of that year, he was approached by John Whitebrown Jr., an aggressive young lawyer, as the New Yorker describes him, and a venture financier called Jack C. Massey, who wanted to acquire the franchise rights. Sanders was originally hesitant, but after weeks of convincing, he decided to sell his rights for $2 million in January 1965, and the transaction was completed in March. Under the terms of the agreement, Kentucky Fried Chicken would open its restaurants worldwide without compromising the chicken recipe. Sanders was to get a $40,000 lifetime income, later increased to $75,000, a seat on the board of directors, majority ownership of KFC's Canadian franchises, and act as the company's brand ambassador. Sanders was resentful of letting go of his baby, but at 75, he determined it would be best for his firm to develop beyond his capabilities. The New Yorker story stated that several of Sanders' friends thought he was shorted on the sale, but it also indicates that Sanders declined equity in the firm and did not bargain for a better price. It appears that Sanders' goal was never to get wealthy, but rather to become famous for his cooking. That's why he moaned and swore about the more profitable but lower quality gravy produced by corporate KFC. Sanders spent his later years interviewing on talk shows and starring in ads. According to the University of Houston's Hospitality Industry Hall of Fame, Sanders traveled 250,000 miles a year visiting KFC stores and pushing the brand in the media until he died from pneumonia at 90. There were around 6,000 KFC restaurants in 48 nations at the time. There were 118 countries with an estimated 18,000 KFC restaurants as of 2013. Brown, who sold his stake in KFC for $284 million in 1971, was elected governor of Kentucky in 1979. While Sanders died the next year, Brown described him as a real legend in the spirit of the American dream, according to the New York Times. Sanders may not have had the drive to become as wealthy as he could have, but his favorite fried chicken dish is now known in 115 countries, which is more than he could have dreamed of when he struck the road at 65 with a vehicle full of cooking equipment. Over the next decade, Sanders' restaurant grew in popularity, and the governor of Kentucky appointed him colonel, the highest honor the state can bestow. Even now, Sanders is still a key component of KFC's branding, and their logo still features his face. The world continues associating wonderful country fried chicken with his beard, white suit, and western string tie. Consider Colonel Harlan Sanders' tale whenever you're feeling disheartened or overwhelmed by rejection. Despite being fired from several jobs, having his long career destroyed, and suffering setbacks from the Great Depression, fires, and World War II, he managed to build one of the biggest fast food chains in the world. Nothing or nobody could ever beat Sanders. We should strive to be more like Colonel Sanders, except for arguing and getting fired. With that, we have come to the end of our video. If you appreciate the video, please share it and subscribe to the channel to see more compelling content.